Hi everyone, this is Amara, and this is my channel Eyes Wide Shut, where I talk about politics, current affairs, and also prepping. That's emergency prepping. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've noticed with technology it's taking over our lives more and more. A few times I've been sat in my living room and the television just suddenly turns itself off right in the middle of a program, and then I have to turn the TV back on. I've had the same thing also with my computers, right, where the computer just turns itself on. I haven't been anywhere near the computer. It turns itself on. I go into my kitchen and sometimes the kettle, it will turn itself on. Sometimes it'll turn itself off again, right? The same thing with my microwave. I've been nowhere near the microwave and the thing turns itself on and off. And this is becoming more and more frequent, right? Even my partner's noticed it. We're being sat in the living room and then next minute the washing machine turns itself on. How is this? Unless there's some kind of entity in our house or something, how come these things are turning themselves off and on, these devices? You see, the more technology you have, right, the more and more control the state has over you. Now people have smart TVs, smart computers, smart phones, smart just about everything. And the more of these things that you have, the more control the state can have over you. And there's something called the Internet of Things. Go and check it out. The Internet of Things. Now, I got this article I'd like to read to you because more and more frequently when I'm getting onto the computer, I'm noticing that the computer's trying to change my sentences or trying to correct my spelling, and it's getting more and more frequently. Not only that, I've noticed that Google be the main search engine, but now they're starting to use AI as search engines. So to me, that means that they're going to start to limit more and more of what you can actually search for, what you can actually see. I'll say this now, people, you need to go out and start buying books. Seriously, start buying books such as this. Yeah, 1984. This book, Animal Farm. This book here, The Fourth Reich, brilliant book, right? Start buying books. Start buying books on history and past history. Start buying books on economics. Start buying books on politics, alright? Because these things in the future, you ain't going to be able to find them around. You ain't going to be able to find a point of reference because they're getting rid of books. They're getting rid of books. Who's getting rid of books? The governments are slowly starting to get rid of books. So, if I was you, start stocking up on books. Go to second-hand bookshops and buy books. Buy books on things, as I say, such as history, politics, economics, books on how to grow food, right? How to grow food. Books on things like foraging, books on things like first aid, because these things, I'm telling you, in the future, you won't be able to get hold of them so easily. Okay? Buy books. Actually, if I ask Copilot this, right? Because I've noticed, man, every time I'm typing, it keeps trying to correct my writing. Not only that, even when it has been corrected by myself and I send it to someone, it's still got mistakes in there, even though I corrected them. It's like this machine thing is starting to take over people's life, man. Listen to this. Google, why is it you are taking more and more choices of what people can say or changing various sentences? Right, this is what AI said. Google's automated systems are designed to refine, correct, and sometimes restrict search queries and results to enhance user experience, comply with legal requirements, and adhere to content policies. These changes often feel like a loss of choice because the system prioritizes relevance and safety over exact phrasing used by the researcher or the searcher. Here is a breakdown of why Google changes or restricts search inputs and results. So they're not disadmitting that they restrict your searches, automated query refinement, changing sentences, improving relevance. Google often changes your query to one that its algorithms believe will yield more accurate or popular results. This includes correcting spelling or substituting terms to match what they believe you are actually looking for. Okay? This is kind of infringement, really, because how do they actually really know what you're looking for? You might not be looking for something different. Are you always looking for the same things? So they're trying to think for you. Contextual understanding. If a query is ambiguous, Google may rewrite it to be more specific based on search trends and user intent. Handling vague queries. If a query is too broad, Google may apply query refinements, similar filters or pills. I've never heard of that term before. Pills, what's that? To help you narrow down the search. Right, algorithms, filtering and safety. Content policies. Google uses automated systems to remove or demote content that violates their policies regarding hate speech, violence, dangerous or sexually explicit content. Safe search. Defaults for users under 18, or if enabled, safe search automatically filters out implicit content which may seem like the content is being restricted or hidden. I'm telling you, they got this thing they brought out, a law going back last year, or was it the year before? Alright. The online safety bill. And they're starting to hide certain things that people can see. They said that this online safety bill was there to be able to protect vulnerable people, yeah? Not just children, but adults, and to stop things like abuse online. However, for those other citizens who are just going about their daily business, they're also being affected by some of these policies. People have been taken out their house, been arrested for making certain comments online which may not be deemed to be abuse or threatening. Alright? So the definition of what is abuse or what is threatening has changed. It has changed. Especially under the new law, the online safety bill. Let me read on. Also complete filtering. Google filters out certain potentially offensive or in some cases controversial terms from the automatic search suggestions. So, listen, there's so many people who've got different points of view about politics. They got different points of view about current affairs. They got different points of view about the government, or I don't know. what's been said on the news. Now, more and more people, as I say, are being locked up because of putting certain things, certain content onto social media, right? And it feels like social media is slowly starting to take away our rights to free speech. Our rights to free speech. Now, yes, there are some people who are quite abusive in terms of, they might say something about, say, black people, for example, or they might say something about a certain religious group, yeah? However, on the other side, just about almost anything that comes out of some people's mouth that the government deems to be threatening, they will go and either pull down their content, or next thing, some police officers come round to their house and taking away their equipment to then examine it. This thing about free speech is slowly being eradicated. What is free speech? And what is the definition of free speech? Legal regularity, obligations, right to be forgotten. In some jurisdictions such as European Union, Google is legally required to remove specific, outdated or irrelevant search results upon request. Copyright and law compliance. Google removes search results to comply with legal requests such as Digital Millennium Copyright Act, that's a DMCA in brackets, or in accordance with local laws such as removing illegal content. AI overviews and changing search behavior. Direct answers. The AI overview features, formerly known as SGE, is designed to give you an answer directly at the top of the search page, sometimes reducing the need to click through to websites. Query fan out. Never heard that term. Right. Modern AI searches may fan out single query into multiple sub-queries to gather a wider range of information which may not always match the initial exact thoughts of the user. Personalization and echo chambers. Google personalizes results based on your past activity. So you see, when you go online and you're looking at something, you may be looking at a pair of shoes, you might be looking at the top. And then when you go back onto your social media platform, next thing you're getting pop-ups of things similar to what you were searching for on the Google search engine. Listen, man, they're getting more and more sophisticated in terms of taking away your personal information and then sending it off to some companies who then, what do they do with that information? They sell the information on, your personal information. I think this thing is a bit intrusive. I think this thing's too intrusive, actually. So if you go onto a website and you're looking for a holiday, the next thing, you go back onto the website the day after and you got all these pop-ups coming up about holidaying in the country that you were looking at or similar holidays. Right? To me, personally, I think that's just a little bit too intrusive. These computers are starting to know you better than you know yourself. They're watching your what you're searching for, looking at your taste, they're watching your spending habits and all of these kinds of things, yeah? These things know you better than you know yourself. I find it a bit too intrusive. Just about everything that you're doing nowadays has been watched. Right, how to get more control. Use quotes. Using quotes around a phrase, e.g. your specific phrase, often tells Google to look for that exact phrasing. Check settings. You can manage or disable personalization search in your account data and privacy settings. Use alternatives. Using different browsers or search engines such as DuckDuckGo can provide less personalized results. Sorry, DuckDuckGo, I think they're quite good because I've started to use them a little bit more often than using the Google search engine, because it might still be collecting your information. It might be just another guise for something else. They might be still collecting your personal information, but just sharing it a different way. Alright, but I just find this whole thing about AI and this technology is becoming more and more like it's surveillancing you and giving you slowly less and less choice and giving you less options. These are the negative things I think about AI and these search engines. And it's not just the search engines, but I just think of technology now in general. As I say, sometimes my television will switch itself off right in the middle of a film. Sometimes it will turn itself on, and I have not put any settings on there, so why is it turn itself off and on? This thing is turning itself on. This kettle is turning itself on. Do not touch it. Just turn itself on. It's like it's trying to save power or something. I just think it's just too intrusive myself. Computers, sometimes my computer will just come on and I haven't turned it on. Why is that? Sometimes my kettle will turn itself on, or my microwave, and it's a bit eerie to me, but it's a technology, right? Because it's all now starting to link up together. Yeah, if you've got smart technology, it's all starting to link up together. The Internet of Things, and you're going to have less and less control of your personal life because these things are trying to think for you. Right, the negative things I think about these search engines and AI in general. So it's narrowing our views. Right? It's narrowing our views. It's not allowing us to have a wider scope of being able to search for different things because it's trying to think for us. It's starting to narrow our personal views, right, for its own views. So it's trying to narrow our scope of vision. Number 2, watching and monitoring your habits. It feels just a little bit intrusive, right? So it's watching and monitoring everything that you're doing. Once you're on the internet, it's there watching almost every keystroke, things that you're searching for, things that you like, who you're sending messages to, right? All of this information is being gathered, but where is it going to? It's obviously going to some company who's then sold the information to another company and sharing information on you. Don't you think that's just a bit too intrusive? Number 3, the thought police. Read George Orwell's book about the thought police. Your personal opinions and your views are starting to be limited. Your freedom of what you can say and what you can do is starting to be eroded. Okay? And now you've got like these laws such as the online safety bill, and just about everything that you're doing on the internet is being monitored. And if you say something that the government don't like, they can quite easily cut you off, right? Me, for example, if I go onto social media and I say something that they don't like, they can then shadow ban me. There's something called shadow banning, okay? They can narrow the amount of people who can see your content. That's how much control that they have now. It makes us too lazy and convenient. Things too convenient as well. That's another thing. Because as these things are taken over, right, and people are getting so comfortable with it, these things are telling you what they think you might like, telling you about things that they think in terms of your taste. They're trying to slowly push you over into a way of thinking. They're trying to slowly push you over into a way of thinking without you noticing it. It's taking away your critical thinking. Okay? It's starting to remove history. In a few years' time, the things that you used to be able to see or reference to going back a couple of 100 years ago, you're not going to be able to get access to that information. Things that happened maybe even 50 years ago, you're not going to be able to get access to that information. Why? Because books are slowly being gotten rid of, and in replacement for this is AI, and AI is slowly starting to rewrite history. That was the point I was trying to get to, is that it's slowly starting to rewrite history, rewrite phrases, rewrite and bring in new terminology, right? So the old languages are going to disappear, and in its place is going to be the AI. Look at our AI. When you go onto Google, for example, it's now got AI, right? AI, search engine. These things are slowly starting to take over our existence, I'm telling you. And if you don't watch it, you will have very little choice, very little freedom, no chance of being able to think independently and for yourself. You won't be able to think independently and for yourself. Critical thinking will have gone. Right. So, the positive sides to this. It saves on time and energy. Okay? So, if you've got a busy work life, it can save on time and energy. So, if it's narrowing down your scope of what you're looking for, and it narrows down 100 things and narrows it down to just 20 or 30 things and gives you those 20 or 30 options, it'll save you time, yeah, and it'll save you energy because it has done the work for you. Because to keep scrolling, trying to look for certain things and you can't find it, the search engine and AI would have narrowed down the search enough for you to only have, say, 20 things or 30 things to look at, as opposed to hundreds of things. So it's going to save you on time. Number two, it will also help you in terms of things such as grammar and spelling. Now, if you're not particularly that good at grammar and spelling, it can do that for you. Okay? So if you're working in an office environment and say you're a secretary and you're not too sure about certain words, yeah, how to spell certain words, the machine can do that for you, yeah, or correct a sentence for you. So You think if you're a solicitor and you've got hundreds of documents and you've got like 20 or 30 cases, that's a hell of a lot of information and reports you got to write up. Or you might be a police officer, yeah, and you have to write 20 or 30 reports. AI can actually do that for you. Okay, all you have to do is then read back through the documents to see if it's okay, if it's fine by you. That's all you have to do. You can just give AI a document and it can just write it for you. So that's going to save you on time, energy, and money, isn't it? Well, with AI, the other benefit is that it's there just 24/7. It's there 24/7. We have to sleep. We get tired. We make mistakes, don't we? But AI, although it makes errors itself, it makes fewer errors than us human beings. Alright? But the thing is, if we don't start thinking for ourselves and use our critical way of thinking and analyze things, then these things are just going to take over. And it's going to make us lazy. And we're just going to use that as a point of convenience until eventually it takes over our whole life. And that's the thing that I personally don't want to see, is that it gets to that point that we can't think for ourselves. And George Orwell has a book called 1984. And he talks about doublespeak. And I want you to go look up doublespeak. Right? And Newspeak. Go and buy his book, 1984, George Orwell. Because a lot of things that's going on right now in society and how things are going, he's discussing his book. And another guy called Aldous Huxley. Aldous Huxley, A Brave New World. Go look at that book as well. A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. People, we need to try and get a balance. I'm not against AI, not at all. I'm not against bots at all, because I've found them to be quite useful myself. But not to the point that we lose our critical thinking. Not to the point where they start to take over our life and we've been slowly replaced by them. Anyway, just out of Amara with another video, and if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe and share. And I've got some new merch. Go to the bottom of this page where it says show more, and you'll be able to see things such as my cups. You'll be able to see things such as t-shirts, like this one here. I've got loads of different sweatshirts and logos. Loads of different sweatshirts and logos, caps, hats, bags, and so forth. Please help support this channel by buying some more merch. Thanks anyway. I'll add